This is a Mississippi boy, and I joined the Cajun Navy, and this is a video of my experiences in the Navy. We left Costco in Baton Rouge about 1 o'clock. Here we are loading supplies. We've already registered. Here we are, all made it all the way to Orange, Texas. Stopped to get gas. Here we're moving out. Right now we've got about 50 boats and probably another 10 or 15 support vehicles along with us. Long caravan. Wasn't long after we left Orange that we started hitting the heavy rain bands and seeing some of the flooding. And now remember, this is just Monday. This is early in the storm, but it's still raining. And the flooding is awful on each side of the road. Wasn't long it started getting dark, raining straight down, wind blowing. Caravan of, like I said, 60 or so boats. Real tough experience. As you can see, the water is everywhere. Right now we're going down the wrong side of the interstate so that we could avoid high water on the westbound side. We're now on the east side of the interstate, eastbound side of the interstate. They had a program on their phones called Zello that we could communicate with our phones just as though they were a walkie-talkie, which made it real handy. It kept everybody together, let everybody know what was happening with the caravan. We finally arrived at Harris County Fire Training Academy, and that's where we stayed that night, and that's also where the command center was. Here at the command center, calls would come in and they would dispatch their assets. In other words, the Cajun Navy, I think we had on the board 64 boats. There you can see a few more boats that were added. We were dispatched, my group, we had a high water truck full of supplies. We were going to go supply another shelter that had been surrounded by water. This is the interstate that we were traveling down, and that's the road we were going to try to use to get to the shelter. But as you're fixing to see, that didn't work out. Here's the interstate. Look at the water, how high it is on the interstate. That's that barrier wall between the east and westbound lanes. As you can see, it's buckled down in front of us there from the water pressure on the other side. So we figured we were in pretty dire straits here if that barrier had collapsed or burst. But right ahead of us, the interstate was a river. That high water truck would have been swept away. So we found an alternate route, or trying to find, and we come upon this bridge that we were going to cross, but the bridge was closed, and some of the officers said, look, we need these boats that are with your group. So my boat was commandeered as well as another, and we made our way across the bridge, and what we found was a large apartment complex on the other side called Kingwood. Kingwood was under about 6 or 8 foot of water, and it had I'd say close to 1,000 residents, if I'm not mistaken, plus the housing on the other side as well. So we stayed there on the bridge till we could finally get launched out. So, and that took about another hour because there were a lot of law enforcement on the bridge, a lot of civilians on the bridge, some of us Cajun Navy trying to launch out, firemen, you name it. They had every asset they could get on that bridge. Here's a shot of the other end of the bridge where we had to launch out. As you can see, the water is super swift there. There's one of the Houston police boats. And this is where we spent all afternoon, right here in Kingwood. All almost nobody got out of here. All the cars were still parked in their parking spots. The water covered most of the cars, or right to the top of the cars. Of course, pickups you could see, you could tell what they were, but most of the cars you couldn't tell what kind of car it was. My group, we got out 3 or 4 families, two cats and 3 dogs, and let me tell you, all these folks were glad to see us. When we launched out, we're headed back. There was a deer on the bridge there that had almost drowned, and we stopped to give aid. We found a mattress and wrapped the deer up and made it as comfortable as we could. We loaded her in the back of my truck, and so it's just an all-out effort. These are state police, I believe, that were helping get the deer back across the bridge. All day we've seen all kind of helicopters, just all types of helicopters. I think this is a Bell Ranger here, but we saw Coast Guard helicopters, Sheriff's Office, you name it. Made our way back across the bridge. Here we are coming back across the bridge, fixing to head back to the command center. This is where the people were brought. When they come out of Kingwood, they were brought to the end of that bridge, and then they were transported to shelters. But here at Kingwood, this is where 2 boats from the Cajun Navy spent the whole afternoon, and we were not unusual. Cajun Navy was all over the Houston area, and these guys and girls were just a great group. I'm glad I had the experience. And hey, we got another hurricane headed toward Florida. Let's hope that things turn out better than they did here in Houston. Appreciate you watching.